Welcome to Happy Hour. It's been a minute, but we are officially in summer, so methinks something fruity. Goblet, coupe, or wine glass today? Oh, I have my fancy coupes, hang on. Never skip digging through the thrift stores in search of real crystal. If you're into that kind of thing. Which I really didn't think that I was, but look how pretty. Of the 3-pound bag of clementines I bought last week, I have one left. I also have berry-flavored seltzer for the first time in a while. Some of that, some limoncello, maybe a little Saint Germain. We're gonna try it out. Oh, where have you gone? Haha! I've barely even made a dent in that. This is the part where I say please drink responsibly. Do I add some rosemary just as a little garnish? That could be pretty. We're getting to the point where this may be too many elements. Tough, we're giving it a shot. For once in a blue moon, I'm actually gonna measure. We're also gonna shake it over ice, because why not? The better question is, do I have ice? I do! 'Tis just barely frozen, but it's there. Okay. We're gonna do 2 parts limoncello to 1 part Saint Germain. Or is your side 1.5 parts? You don't look like 2 parts. Whatever. Bigger end of limoncello, smaller part of elderflower liqueur. I swear to you this is limoncello. I make it myself and I put it in the wine bottles I've got. Because I'm fancy. Sometimes. The Saint Germain bottle is so pretty. And this is either going to be 3 or 4 parts of wild berry seltzer. Who's to say? Nope. I'm feeling good about this. I'm not feeling good about that. Okay. Woo! I'm glad I did that. It's bubbles, Mary, you idiot. You know, it's a learning experience sometimes. Is that why they shake and then top with bubbles? Oh, well, reading a lot doesn't mean you know everything. We're gonna get Joe in on this to mix for me one of these days. Oh, and my measurements were lovely. I'm pretty happy about that. Clean up your mess. Hi, kid. And get you a garnish. Clementines make for weird garnishes, I'm realizing. Maybe I do this instead. That's fun. If you can't tell, that's the rind with some of the fruit still attached to it. Bloop. And the rosemary is just to make it pretty. That works, right? Now I'm all juicy. Cheers. Woo! Oh my god. I will be drinking one of those a week all summer. And I have a little snack. Watching your mother drink a cocktail. I'm sure that'll make it into your therapist's notes one day. Gosh, everyone, can we tell it's been a minute? And since it has been a minute, I'm very overdue for a book haul. Like, extremely overdue. As long as I'm not overdue on my library books, am I right? I'm so sorry, it's been a long week. But let's get into some fun things. Is my TBR pile endless? Yes. Is that ever going to change? Probably not. I'm sure you've already been seeing this everywhere, but this is V.E. Schwab's newest book about 3 different women from 3 different eras and places who become, and I quote, hungry, loving, and enraged. The phrase I keep seeing in association with this book is toxic lesbian vampires, and I can't wait. I really love V.E. Schwab. I know a lot of people have divided opinions on The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue, but that one's actually one of my favorites, followed swiftly by Vicious. More toxicity. I'm also wildly impressed that she signed every first edition copy, and I'm incredibly glad that I snagged one. I don't want to rush through finishing Oathbound by Tracy Deonn, but as soon as I am done with that, this is next. Speaking of lesbian vampires, this is The Witch and the Vampire by Francesca Flores. I was not aware of this one at all. I found it in a clearance section, but it spoke to me. A queer Rapunzel retelling where a witch and a vampire who trust no one but themselves must journey together through a cursed forest with danger at every turn. Yeah, obviously I'm gonna read the crap out of that. This will either enchant or disappoint me, and there really is no in-between, I'm sorry to say. Let us never disrespect the majesty that is Avon Romance mass market paperbacks. This was $10 in a grocery store recently. Bring me back to an era where bodice rippers shared shelf space with People magazine at the supermarket. Cause what a vibe. Anyway, this is Stealing Home by Grace Riley. I have to be in a particular mood for a sports romance, but I gotta say, baseball romance gets overlooked too often in favor of hockey romance. And I am a baseball girl. Sebastian is trying to prove himself on the field in his final season before the MLB draft, and Mia is an astrophysicist in training trying to get into a study abroad program. And the last thing either one expected was each other. Yeah, I'm gonna crush this one in an afternoon. I have repeatedly heard exceptional things about Blood Over Brighthaven by M.L. Wang, but it was the map on the inside cover that did it for me. Look at it! And this is where we lose sound because my microphone ran out of battery and I didn't realize it. Hold, please. What fun would it be, really, if we didn't have at least one technical issue? But seriously, it sounds really fantastic. The first woman ever admitted to a prestigious order of mages unravels a secret conspiracy that could change the practice of magic forever. A friend recently told me that this was going to scratch the babble itch in my brain. I do love a good standalone dark fantasy. Now we get to a chunk of horror. I have been thinking a lot lately about how I want to incorporate more horror titles into my reading. The Reformatory by Tananarive Due seemed to fall onto every list of this is what you should read after you're done watching Sinners. I couldn't shut up about Sinners for like a week after I saw it in theaters. A young boy named Robbie, who can see ghosts, also known as Haints, is sent to serve a 6-month sentence at the notorious Gracetown School for Boys in the Jim Crow era South. I'm astounded at how many awards this book has won, and this fits very nicely into my love for historical fiction. And as much as I'm looking forward to the story, I may need to work up to this just a little bit. So I may end up starting with one of these. That's really funny. The author of one wrote a blurb for the other. These are both queer environmentalist horror. In Bloom by Delilah S. Dawson, Rosemary and Ash meet at the farmer's market. Feelings both erotic and terrifying ensue. I've read Delilah S. Dawson's romance before, I've never read her horror, but I have a feeling I'm going to devour this. A Botanical Daughter by Noah Medlock follows Simon and Gregor, a gay couple in Victorian London. Simon is a taxidermical artist and Gregor works with exotic plants. Together they discover the opportunity to create intelligent life out of plant matter, and a Frankenstein-like child of their very own is the product. I'm kind of into it. I will say very few Frankenstein-type stories do it nearly as well as Shelley herself. But from flipping through a few pages, this seems really promising. And rounding out the horror selection of the haul, Blood on Her Tongue by Joanna Van Veen was actually something that popped up when a friend was telling me about the Aardvark Book Club. This was one of their selection options in one of their recent month's boxes. Lucy and Sarah are twin sisters in the 1880s Netherlands. Sarah has been overtaken by some sort of mysterious illness. Lucy is determined to save her sister from being sent to an insane asylum. Probably, definitely vampires. And if there's a way to get me more into horror, that'll do it. Look at the bubbles in the blood on this sprayed edge. Details. Okay, these two were both sent to me for free. On Her Terms by Amy Spalding was part of a giveaway that my friend Megan was running over on her Bookstagram at Books and Blazers, and I think I'm going to try to get to this by the end of June for Pride Month. Clementine and Chloe. We have an I just broke up with my long-term boyfriend situation, right into a fake dating trope, wise, witty, and full of heart. You're going to make me cry, aren't you? And the Simon Books Buddy program sent me a copy of Violet Bent Backwards Over the Grass, which is a book of poetry by Lana Del Rey. With poetry, I don't typically read through the entire thing in one sitting. It's more something that I'll pick up on occasion and tend to flip through, and whatever I land on, that's the poem I'll read. And then at the back, there's a few pages where you can add your own poems. See, these towers of power lines aren't any one particular landmark, but every arts kid I know has been on a walk as a teenager and felt that they had a singular experience witnessing this viewpoint of American industry as they're feeling their big, deep feelings. So it's cool to look back on that now. Maybe I'll go through it more thoroughly as I listen to Chemtrails Over the Country Club. Okay, 5 more. Why do you have a sticker? I fixed it. I was aware of Harlem Rhapsody by Victoria Christopher Murray the instant it was released, so I'm delighted I now have a copy. And this sits very solidly in my love of historical fiction. And if you don't happen to recognize the author's name, Victoria Christopher Murray co-wrote The Personal Librarian with Marie Benedict. I think they also both co-wrote The First Ladies together. But I will wax poetic about The Personal Librarian, so I was very excited to hear about Harlem Rhapsody. This is a fictionalization of the life of Jessie Redmond Fawcett. She was the first Black woman to become the literary editor of The Crisis, which was the official publication of the NAACP, founded by W.E.B. Du Bois. Before anybody corrects my pronunciation with Dubois, I had a lit professor who absolutely insisted that the man himself pronounced it Du Bois. I'm honoring how he says it. Anyway, the story follows not only Jessie Redmond Fawcett's experience as she navigates working for the publication, it also chronicles her affair with Du Bois and some of the new writers she seeks to amplify as she lives in Harlem, including a 17-year-old Langston Hughes. Books like this will always lead me down a research rabbit hole. Next up is The Song of Legends Lost by M.H. Allende. This is the first book in the Invoker trilogy that follows 2 Invoker clans who have been at war for many years. Invokers are magic users who can summon their ancestors to follow them into battle. But these warriors are typically of noble blood, until a commoner from the slums named Temmie suddenly invokes a spirit of her own, but not everything that can be summoned is an ancestor. Now, this sounds incredible. I may wait just a little bit until we're a touch closer to the release of the second book in the series. Saga Press is coming out with some bangers. Then there's The Night and the Moth by Rachel Gillig. I have not read One Dark Window, I have not read Two Twisted Crowns, I know nothing of Rachel Gillig's other work, but this is a recent release that really stood out to me. A gothic, mist-cloaked tale of a young prophetess who is forced on an impossible quest with the one knight whose future she cannot see. Foundling girl, decade of service for the great cathedral, receives visions in her dreams. I hold out hope that the next romantasy book I read will be a good one. More on this in another video. I have a complicated relationship with romantasy books, but I always hold out hope for good ones. Speaking of romantasy. Now, did I pick the two of these because I thought that they would be searing and erudite? Nope, really can't say I did. But let's be so real, I'm going to enjoy the shit out of them. Kiss of the Basilisk by Lindsay Straub. Tem must train with the basilisk to learn the power of seduction and win the prince's hand in marriage. Tensions between the basilisks and the humans. I know what I'm getting into every time I pick up a title from Bloom Books, and this sounds pretty delicious. Then we have what looks to be the indie-published Slaying the Shifter Prince by Claire Sager, a twisted reimagining of Beauty and the Beast. You don't say. An aerial performer named Zeta tries to slay the Fey Prince, fails, and becomes his pet. I wonder where that could lead. Believe me, I know what itches I'm scratching with these, and we'll see how long it takes me to get through all of these. But I do need to take a quick pause before I buy myself any more. I also need to cement this recipe into my usual repertoire, because this is darn delicious.